And I was like, get your fucking hands off my dick, you crazy ass. Oh, we're back. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? Oh, God, this is a little embarrassing.
How did that
hopefully
happen?
people, I don't know. It's a little strange.
We're back now.
Yes, we are officially back. There were some technical difficulties, but we are now back. And we can continue on with the stupid cringe.
Yay! Now hear the paragraph that will make Brockus growl.
Oh, God damn it. Okay, continue.
Alex Messenian, whatever the guy's name was, 25, was angry that he wasn't getting laid. That's why he drove a van into a crowded thoroughfare in Toronto on April 23rd, killing 10 people. So was Elliot Roger, 22, who expressed rage at his own virginity before killing 6 people and himself in Isla Vista, California in 2014. And Nicholas Cruz, 19, who posted praise for Roger online before fatally shooting 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida earlier this year. If you're blessedly unfamiliar with the concept of incels, so-called involuntary celibate men who lurk in online forums like Reddit and 4chan, fueling each other's violent fury at women, particularly women who decline to have sex with them. It may sound like a fringe idea, the kind of ideology that would only appeal to mouth breathers who live in their parents' basement. But it's a way of thinking that more and more men are getting drawn to or promoting, including influential men on national stages, like New York Times op-ed writer Ross Dolph, whatever the fuck his last name is, who expressed sympathy with incels in a viral column this week.
Men who aren't getting laid, here's a pro tip. Before you go executing people, try a hooker.
I was just thinking that.
Buy
There are
your
women that will have
pussy
sex with you for money.
Yeah.
Look, coming from someone who doesn't get to actually come very often unless I'm jerking off, and with a disabled arm, it makes it even more difficult. But it's not that deep, bro. It's not that bad. Okay, and even then, honestly, if you're just not getting laid, go buy it. Just save up a little bit of money. Go buy it. If you're worried about possible STDs and shit, then go buy a high-end, high-priced hooker over in fucking Nevada. The Bunny Ranch is there for you, waiting. The ladies will treat you like a goddamn prince. They will take care of all your sexual needs, and they have condoms. They have all kinds of cool shit over at the Bunny Ranch. Just go buy the sex. You don't need to get in a car and go on a fucking murderous motor rampage. All right? It's fucking insane. Look, I love sex. Sex is amazing. I wish I was still having sex. But Jesus fucking Christ, I don't need to go and kill someone because I'm not having sex. I need to go kill someone because their dogs won't shut the fuck up.
This rant brought to you by the Bunny Ranch. Come and see us and say Brockus for 5% off.
Don't go murder people. Come to the Bunny Ranch and get your dick played with. 10% off if you mention Brockus and rage a little.
Yes. But don't you like the idea that men who aren't getting sex are more likely to become killers is an inference this author is making?
No, and the author's fucking wrong.
And that by making that inference, it's somehow once again the woman's fault because we're not giving them sex.
That's the other thing about it is just like, women get horny too.
We do.
Yeah.
Regularly.
It's a proven fact. Like, okay, look, again, I hate to go back into my past of sadness, but sometimes I got to. I had an ex, and this was my first ever real experience actually learning that women actually get horny too. But one of my first exes, back when I was about 20 years old, I would lay in her bed. I'd come over to her house. We'd hang out. I'd lay in her bed with her. We would just watch movies and shit. And there were times where I was horny and I would fucking, I'd come onto her. I'd touch her. I'd remove my pants when she wasn't looking, whatever the case was. Well, one of her things was she would inevitably start to cuddle with me just a little more, kind of rub certain areas with her body parts and shit. Like her leg would rub a little too much into my inner thigh, and then she'd start chewing on the collar of my shirt. This was her way of saying, hey, I want you inside me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing. It's a real thing. Now, if women can get horny just like men can get horny, then women can get really pissed off that they're not getting laid, just like men can get really pissed off for not getting laid. Now, for the men who are not getting sex, find the women who are not getting sex. Solve both your problems, and maybe we won't get a suicide bombing chick blowing up a fucking bank because she's not getting any, because I feel like that's where we're headed.
No.
Or do other things to deal with it, like buy dildos or vibrators.
I mean, you could, but
As a woman, all you have to do is say, I'm horny in the middle of a bar. And as long as you're single, there's 20 men lining up going, I can fix that.
yeah, you know, that's actually got to be some of the most depressing things I probably ever had to actually see legitimately happen. I'm not even kidding. These are actual things that I've witnessed. Horny female friends of mine didn't need to actually really make an effort of things. They could just go to specific bars that we know are very heavy with, you know, relatively attractive people. And all these girls would have to do is go in there and say, I'm horny. Next thing you know, they're hooking up with the guy in a parking lot. Cool. Lesbians, same thing. We go to a gay bar, and any lesbian friend of mine could basically start cunt punching as many vaginas as they want. Gay bar. Aside from doing lines of coke off of cocks in the fucking men's bathroom, I'm pretty sure if I went to any gay bar and wanted to hook up with a dude, all I had to do was give him this look that I actually can do at gay bars. I didn't realize I was able to do.
Smolder Brockus?
I don't have a smolder. I just know that any twink would be powerless against my bare ass if I fucking went over to one particular gay bar. I get eye fucked so fucking much from twinks. Like, I'm not kidding you. If I ever need to feel fucking pretty, if I ever need to feel really good about myself, I just go to a gay bar and watch how many eyes are just undressing me. Because it is astonishingly high on how often pairs of eyes. It's fucking amazing, man. And like, dude, if I really wanted to get laid, if I was like, you know what? Fuck women. I don't need women. I'm just going to go get some fucking man ass over at this bar and shit. I could do exactly that. Here's the problem. As a straight dude, I'm fucked. I'm horny. Too bad. Shit.
Why don't you just lower your standards and go in the other direction then?
Oh, I thought about it, but it's a scary fucking territory. I've never actually explored it.
You'd be popular. You've already said so.
Oh yeah, no, I would be
never be
popular.
horny again.
True. I mean, I'd be horny, but I'd also have a solution.
Well, there you go. Bisexuality is the way to go.
That's another thing, guys. Hey, here's a crazy idea. You hate dick, you love your own. Just close your eyes and let it happen. Maybe you'll discover something about yourself that you didn't previously know.
All right. Continuing on. The idea that men are entitled to sex and that women owe it to them was first plucked from an incel community after the Toronto attack by Robin Hanson, an economist at George Mason University, who took to Twitter and his personal blog to advocate for a redistribution of sex. A central claim of incels is that attractive men, whom they call chads, sleep with too many women and that the women should be taken from the chads and given to incels to make it this more fair.
So in their mind, we are property to be used and traded like fucking magic cards.
Neither side is good in this argument.
To be fair, have you seen like women go off who think they're owed sex?
I actually have. That was really fucking weird. Again, at the gay bar.
I have never actually seen that.
I've only
It
seen
was a
it with
trend.
the uglier ones.
It is a scary thing. Some women cannot handle fucking rejection.
Oh no, they can't. Dude, there was this one chick. Actually, I've seen this more than once, but I think the gay bar one was probably the funniest one. I was out front having a smoke with a buddy of mine because we wanted to get something out of his car. Bottle of liquor, I think it was, because we had a present for one of the owners. A buddy of mine actually knew the owners of this particular place.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, we went to go and get it, but we decided we were going to have a smoke on the way there and on the way back. And in the parking lot, this chick was yelling like fucking a goddamn banshee at this dude. We didn't know quite exactly what was happening. She was just fucking yelling at him. He was just kind of standing there taking it.
Good.
Eventually, it became clear because the guy had finally had enough and he started yelling back at her and the two of them started yelling. It turns out the guy did not want to hook up with her and she was fucking pissed. So much so that she was actually about to fucking beat his ass, or at least attempt to beat his ass. And I'm like, you are a tiny human being and he's twice your size. You need to back the fuck off. Eventually security got involved and nothing actually came of it. But it was fucking insane. Like, me and my buddy were just like, what the fuck? I don't think I've ever seen shit like that happen. She wasn't even half bad looking. I was really weirded out. I think
Which
the
is
guy,
probably why she's never been fucking rejected before.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was insane.
Well, all she needs to do is go to a different bar.
I think she specifically wanted him because, like, it's one of those things where I only have eyes for you. I don't want anyone else. Nobody means anything to me. Cool, you made a mistake.
You're bad.
But yeah, women who get rejected they could be the craziest things out there.
Women in general
Also-
can be insane.
That is true. That is a very accurate thing. Also, something that's been going on in the chat, a little bit of a theme happening here. Let me just say, gentlemen, if you have your eyes closed, you cannot tell the gender of the mouth that is sucking your dick.
Do you know
However,
this from personal experience?
yes.
Yes.
However, from personal experience, I can tell you this much. If they're doing a fantastic job, there's only two possibilities. One, they are a porn star. Two, it's a dude. Just saying. Just saying. You want a really good blowjob, go to a gay guy.
Brockus, that just means you could break your celibacy by going to a gay bar and just manning up.
Closing your
So
eyes.
could these incels.
I want to bring that shaved bear to a goddamn gay bar. He embarrasses me there.
All right. The idea that individual men might have a right to sex the way they have a right to safety and survival was taken up by Dulth, whatever the fuck that guy's last name was. He wrote that the suffering of incels who can't get laid might one day be seen as a moral obligation for women. Both sides are scum in this argument.
Mm-hmm.
By taking incels' claim at face value, he legitimizes their ideas and forwarded the assumption that if some men can't get laid, it's not because they're creeps or jerks, but because women have too much independence. And so the idea provoked Alec Mancini to carry out a deadly terrorist attack on April 23rd. Was taken seriously in the New York Times just a week and a half later. It seemed Fringe became mainstream very quickly. She's honestly bringing in the death of 10 people into this.
Yeah, and holy crap, it's only mainstream because everybody's fucking tweeting about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like incels are a big fucking giant portion of the population.
That's another thing. Not we, but a new word was invented to specifically insult these men. Like, isn't MGTOW enough? I thought MGTOW was enough of a fucking insult, but no.
Well, our
Now
whole culture is Our whole culture is like focused around taking like the smallest minority of our population and making them seem like they're fucking everywhere. That you know, it's such like so fucking widespread and shit like that. You know, like the fucking white terrorism and shit like that.
Yeah, well,
You know,
it's not
taking
even
one or
just
two
that.
incidents and saying like it's a fucking, you know, massive fucking problem.
It's not even just that. It's right now society is absolutely fucking obsessed with labeling people.
Mm-hmm.
And yet this is the same fucking generation I grew up around and with, and the generation just behind me that were all about being anti-label. Don't label me. Don't label this. I hate to talk about my fucking sad past with my ex-girlfriends, especially this particular one, but she was a big part of 5 years. But she had a really big problem for a long time with labels. So yes, I will admit right now, I used to be cucked by this bitch to a certain degree. I still got laid. I still fucked the shit out of her. And she cheated on all of her boyfriends with me. Still, at one point, she refused to actually call herself my girlfriend and that we weren't in an actual boyfriend-girlfriend relationship because she hated labels, but had no problems doing that with the new guy that she started dating. So it was a really fucked up situation and stuff. But this is, like I said, this is someone who actually hated being labeled. She just used it as an excuse to basically keep me the secret dick that she didn't want anyone to know. She was consistently writing all the fucking time, which, believe me, there wasn't a month that went by I wasn't fucking her. It was a really weird situation. So, like, you can call me a cuck all you want. It's just weird because that's not even remotely close to what was actually happening. I wasn't okay with her going off and fucking some other dude because I was maniacally laughing because that dude had no idea I was also fucking the shit out of her.
Technically, you weren't the cuck in that situation because you were the guy on the side. The guys that she was actually calling her boyfriends were the cucks.
Yeah.
You were her
Because
toy.
you were the toy.
I was
They
a
were the
constant
cucks.
sex toy. Like I don't know why, but yeah, that was. But yeah, like that's the kind of shit I had to deal with. Is like, you know, she just had this obsession with, you know, don't label me, no labels, no labels, and the people around us were just the same way. No labels, no labels. I don't like labels. But now here we are, just 15 years later, and all of a sudden,
Label
labels
everything.
galore. Yeah, everything needs a fucking label. Now we have to label everything. And then we have to come up with insulting labels like incel. Like when I started hurting incels, I thought it was a computer thing. I didn't fucking know what an incel was.
It does sound like a computer component.
It totally does.
I need to upgrade my incel so I can get some better RAM. I mean,
Yeah,
Could be poop. I actually did fart while she blew me once. I'm not going to go into that story.
all right. This is the part of the because she divides this article up with just different like giant things, like giant headlines, and it continues. This part of the article is called "What They Want Is the Right to Rape on Demand."
Oh my God. God damn it. Oh, I am so close to growling. I swear to God.
Yay! We've all
going, Ren. Let's get a growl going.
Yeah. We've all experienced loneliness, a sense of being unloved. But loneliness is not what's at stake here. What incels are calling for, and what thinkers like Hansen and Dolfat, or whatever the fuck his guy's last name is, are at least willing to entertain, isn't sex exactly. Because sex isn't a commodity that can be traded and distributed like letters or loaves of bread. Sex is an activity that you need two willing, capable people to do.
Not always, but go on.
Well,
Incels.
no, that's what prostitution is. It provides sex as a commodity.
Yes, but we're not getting into prostitution in this. Incels don't really want that. What they want is the right to rape on demand. A right not to see a woman as people with rights and desires of their own, but only as objects to be fucked.
Yeah, and that's why nobody is ever going to fucking take them seriously. Except for psychos like you.
Oh, yeah. But in the real world, where women are at least normally full citizens with control over their own sex lives, some men will inevitably go unlaid in order for women to go unraped. That's the price we should all be willing to pay, because the disappointment of men who fail to sleep with whichever woman they choose is not important as the safety and bodily autonomy of a woman.
That I agree with.
Hard to argue.
Hard to argue against that. Incels, of course, don't see it that way. Their misogynistic ideology views pleasure as a right for men and safety only as a privilege for women. The logic of their call for an individual right to sex for men is that pleasure, orgasmic pleasure, at all should be the baseline standard, and that for women, pain, violation are an acceptable baseline. This standard of living for men is simply too high, and its standard for treatment of women is far, far too low.
Okay, where do I begin? First, you actually say something. Well, I'm not saying that's the first thing that they say, but at some point in this article, recently read, they say something to the effects of people who are just not getting laid. Men who are not getting laid are actually helping women not getting raped. Congratulations. And then at that same point, you bring up incels, the word literally created from the two words involuntary celibate. But incels you bring up as an insulting word to the men who basically don't have a choice and are not getting laid. And you essentially say incels are just a bunch of rapists. Then why even mention how there are men out there who are essentially incels because they are involuntarily celibate, and they're helping by not getting women? Do you understand where the logic isn't fucking lining up? They're not incels.
Well,
if they're raping women, they're not incels.
Yeah.
Obviously, because they're no longer involuntarily celibate. Clearly, the celibacy has just gone out the fucking window.
Also, isn't incels just an insult to men who just aren't getting laid? Because if it's involuntary, they have no control over it.
We used to just call them virgins.
Yeah. If
also, they don't... well, that's not accurate, because an incel may have at one point been getting some on a regular basis and then couldn't.
I know, but we would still just like call them virgins because that was fine for making fun of them for that.
No, like we didn't need to create. Go ahead.
We didn't need to create like a fucking what is it?
But celibacy is something you can pick up and put down. Virginity isn't really something that you can get back.
Yeah.
I know technically it doesn't make sense, but that's just, like it worked fine for fucking giving them shit. That's all I'm saying.
Oh.
Also, I think it's insulting because you're grouping men who aren't on 4chan bitching about women into the same group of people who are.
Oh yeah, no, but that's completely fine though, is because all these women have these fucking double standards. They can bitch and say horrible shit and do their online bullying and their online harassment and fucking just put men down as much as they fucking can. They can do all these horrible, horrendous things because for some reason, here are the two fucking ways they're gonna do it. One, that's not wrong. Because you can't be sexist against men. You can't harass men. You can't be a bully to these men, especially a cyberbully. None of that is real. It's impossible somehow for fucking some reason. Because, again, double standards. Or, well, for thousands of years, men used to do horrible things to women all the time. They used to treat women like property and this and that. Oh, fuck off, you little bitch ass cunt. I will slap the goddamn balls out of your mouth, you fucking bitch. Hate these fucking women, man. Like they're so few in number but they're so fucking loud, it actually causes me to really look over at MGTOW people and go, I feel you, bro. But at the same time, fuck off, MGTOWs.
Well, the thing is
well,
historically, that they are accurate in their arguments.
They are.
However, the current male is not responsible for what happened in the past.
Exactly. And also, yes, not all MGTOWs are actually a terrible thing. I just want to say this before anyone starts to actually throw a fucking fit, in case they are watching and are in fact a MGTOW, or at least consider themselves a MGTOW. Most MGTOWs are not horrible people. However, MGTOWs I'm specifically telling to fuck off are people like Angry MGTOW, Sandman, and fucking, what's that faggot, Roosh V. I hate those guys. I hate them with a passion.
Wait,
they're horrible.
I thought he was what was that? Fuck, I can't even remember the term.
I don't know. He's fucking MGTOW. He treats women like shit, and he acts like men are the God's gift to women.
Doesn't Roosh V go out and get laid all the time? Like,
I highly doubt that.
Fucking make videos on how to get laid, like fucking. God, what is the fucking term? Chat, help me out.
I don't fucking know what
artists.
Yeah, a PUA. Yeah, that's right. Isn't he a PUA?
I don't know, nor do I give a fuck. I really don't care. I don't like Roosh V. He's a fucking dirtbag.
Ray Stone says those who can't do teach.
Yeah. Most pickup artists who teach how to be a pickup artist and shit, they're usually guys who they know how to pick up girls but can't do it themselves because of one reason or other. I highly doubt that Roosh V is actually capable of going out there and picking up chicks, because Roosh V's a manlet. He's a short man. He's in the shorter end of what is actually considered average height. I think that's
a manlet.
Yeah,
I've never heard that phrase before.
You haven't?
It's actually quite amusing. It's a man who's not quite a midget, so he's a manlet.
It just makes him sound like a Beanie Baby or something.
It does, right?
Good morning,
Oh.
Opal.
That would be the cutest little beanie baby ever, the little manlet beanie baby.
No.
Oh, but why is your bath black? God fucking damn it.
You could use it for a fucking voodoo doll. Put some voodoo on you.
Ren, was there anything else to that particular article?
No, it just ends with the whole women are not commodities. You cannot, we can choose who we have sex with, yada, yada, yada.
Yes. That's the problem I have with that particular article, is that it has very obvious facts in it. Women do have the choice to sleep with whoever they want. They can sleep with as many people as they want, just like men can sleep with as many people as they want. It doesn't actually matter. No one is obligated to fuck anyone, nor are they obligated to be friends with anyone, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of things that were actually relatively truthful. What I don't appreciate in that article, however, is the fact that this person is trying to push blame on people and things that do not deserve to have that kind of a fucking blame pushed on them. Nor should she be trying to actually insult the very same people that she is at the same time praising. Because again, an incel is an involuntarily celibate person. And the men who are angry on 4chan, which, let's be honest, are no longer men who are angry on 4chan. It's a bunch of women posing as men who are angry on 4chan to keep the fucking image alive, because 4chan is Tumblr 2.0.
Yeah,
but
and
the men who are...
Just think, if you are an incel and you are kind of like on the verge of fucking going out and killing somebody, do you think a fucking mass media hit campaign against like why you're fucking pissed and calling you the bad guy is gonna fucking help?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
It's just gonna alienate them more. It's just gonna fucking...
Yeah, if somebody is showing signs that they are having some sort of problem, if they are in duress, if they're basically going online and they're essentially shitting all over things and complaining and stuff like that, if you're getting a vibe that they could potentially do something harmful to other people and stuff, don't sit there and fucking ridicule them. Don't sit there and shit all over them. Like, you're just making it fucking worse. You're just shitting on the fucking bear at this point. You're not poking the bear. You're shitting on the bear, and the bear is not happy.
Yeah, and it's a bear, but the bear is fucking the fact that these guys aren't getting laid. You know what you need to do when guys are complaining about not getting laid? Fucking tell them to shut the fuck up and ignore them. You know, fucking sit there and like, holy fuck, these people are making. You ignore people who sit there and bitch about not getting laid.
Yeah.
How fucking hard is that?
Like I got a buddy who does exactly that. He complains on social media about not getting laid, and he usually blames women for not actually getting sex on a regular basis. And I tell him every fucking time, or at least I used to tell him every time, because I just stopped caring and I started ignoring him. But I used to tell him, dude, they have no obligation to fuck you. Just because you showed them attention, just because you spent a little money on them, does not mean that automatically gives you the fucking key to their goddamn gate. Fuck off with that already. Enough complaining.
Unless you buy lobster on the date.
That's an automatic. Like, you're gonna get some ass for that one. All right, because that's lobster. What?
I don't like lobster.
Well, then you're never buying the lobster. That's different.
That's fine. I was gonna say, like, wait, well, hold on a second. You're telling me that if KG buys you an expensive ass dinner, like a lobster dinner, you're not gonna give him booty? That's just rude.
Oh no! If he buys me an expensive dinner that does not involve lobster, he's totally getting laid. But lobster, deal killer.
You heard that, Rage Cage? Expensive dinner tomorrow night. Booty time, USA.
Conversely, if
May
you're
I
married,
recommend the crab, my good sir?
conversely, if you're married and it's his birthday, he is entitled to something.
True. That's also, but those are already established relationships. That's where, like, obligations are kind of around the court. Like, let's face facts, guys. Blowjobs are not mandatory as much as we want them to be. Blowjobs are not mandatory. But
blowjobs are your reward for being very, very good.
Exactly. Now, if you're getting more head than you're giving, and she is a woman who enjoys getting head, you better start that motor right now.
Getting head is what you refer to with guys. Eating out is women.
Yeah.
2 different terms.
Whatever.
You gotta get it right, Brockus.
I think this is kind of important, Brockus.
Look, you still have a head in between your legs. There's not much of a difference when you actually think about it. Getting head, giving head.
No, I've heard a ton of women talk about getting head.
Exactly. I hear lesbians talk about giving head and getting head. I'm just saying, realistically, there's really not much of a difference. The only thing is are you licking or are you sucking?
Okay, I'll let that go.
Fair enough.
Although I just realized that you
both
can
do both. Yeah, both of them can do both.
Is the primary function the lick, or is the primary function a suck? There we go. Because one does require more of the other.
Yeah.
We're going to move on from the semantics on this whole goddamn thing. Let's move on to another one of Ishtar's stories.
All right.
Oh, God. I got flat earth shit. Damn it.
I have a flat earth shit, or I have disappointed scientists.
I'm already disappointed in
I vote
science.
flat earth.
Let's go with flat earth.
I vote flat earth.
Okay. You picked the one article that all of a sudden does not want to work. Hold on.
Oh, that happened to me a couple weeks ago. Hate that shit.
All right. I watched an entire flat earth convention. Here's what I learned by Harry T. Dyer, a lecturer in education.
Okay.
Yeah, this should be good. Speakers recently flew from around or perhaps across the earth for a 3-day event held in Birmingham,
I already hate this.
First ever public flat earth convention. It was well attended and was not just 3 days of speeches and YouTube clips, though granted there was a lot of this. There was also a lot of team building, networking, debating, workshops, and scientific experiments.
Yes. Do they have that in quotes?
No.
Nah.
It goes on to say, yes, flat earthers do seem to place a lot of emphasis and priority on scientific methods and, in particular, on observable facts.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Sure.
The weekend, in no small part, revolved around discussing and debating science, with lots of time spent running, planning, and reporting on the latest set of flat Earth experiments and models. Indeed, as one presenter noted early on, flat earthers tried to look for multiple verifiable evidence. Okay, trying not to scream on that one. That was in quotes. Look for multiple verifiable evidence was in quotes. And advised attendees to, quote, always do your own research and accept you might be wrong. While flat earthers seem to trust and support scientific methods, what they don't trust is scientists and the established relationships between, quote, power and knowledge. This relationship between power and knowledge has long been theorized by sociologists. By exploring this relationship, we can begin to understand why there is a swelling resurgence of flat earthers. All right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it wasn't as cringy as I thought it would be, but still,
Wait.
flat earthers.
There's still a lot more to this article. Let me begin by stating quickly, I'm quoting the author here, that I am not really interested in discussing if the Earth is flat or not. For the record, I am happily a globe earther, and I am not seeking to mock or denigrate this community. What's important here is not necessarily whether they believe the Earth is flat or not, but instead what their resurgence and public conventions tell us about science and knowledge in the 21st century. Okay, the fact that he had to put a disclaimer paragraph in his article says he's about to mock the fuck out of them.
I know. And what does that doesn't say anything about science and research in the 21st century. It says a whole lot about how fucking crazy, like about how many fucking, uneducated, crazy people can be out there. But it doesn't say a goddamn thing about science and research in the 21st century.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into that part. Multiple competing models were suggested throughout the weekend, including classic flat Earth, domes, ice walls, diamonds, puddles with multiple worlds inside, and even the Earth as the inside of a giant cosmic egg. The level of discussion, however, often did not revolve around the models on offer, but on broader issues of attitudes towards existing structures of knowledge and the institutions that supported and presented these models. Flat earthers are not the first group to be skeptical of existing power structures and their tight grasps on knowledge. This viewpoint is somewhat typified by the work of Michael Foucault. I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but I don't care. A famous and heavily influential 20th century philosopher who made a career of studying those on the fringes of society to understand what they can tell us about everyday life. There's a reason they're on the fringe of society.
They're crazy.
Exactly. He is well known, amongst many other things, for looking at the close relationship between power and knowledge. He suggested that knowledge is created and used in a way that reinforces the claims to legitimacy of those in power. No shit, that's why the phrase is, the victor writes history. At the same time, those in power control what is considered to be correct and incorrect knowledge. According to Foucault, there is therefore an intimate and interlinked relationship between power and knowledge. At the time Foucault was writing on the topic, the control of power and knowledge had moved away from various religious institutes who had previously held a very singular hold over knowledge and morality, and was instead beginning to move towards a network of scientific institutions, media monopolies, legal courts, and bureaucratized governments. Foucault argued that these institutions work to maintain their claims to legitimacy by controlling knowledge.
How does saying the Earth is round mean they hold on to knowledge or power or whatever?
My take on it is that he is covering this so that we can begin to understand why these people are questioning things.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're wrong. Like, it's just so obviously wrong. Like, just take satellites and make our fucking GPS and cell phones work. All of those are up in the atmosphere floating based on the mathematics, based on like taking gravity into account, taking Earth's curve, taking everything we know into account, and they wouldn't work, would not work if we weren't correct. We wouldn't be able to get them into space. We wouldn't be able to get them into orbit. Like all of that shit requires correct knowledge of how the fucking Earth works and its shape and how gravity works. You know, it's so insane to me. It's so insane to me how these people think it.
In the 21st century, we are witnessing another important shift in both power and knowledge due to factors that include the increased public platforms afforded by social media. Knowledge is no longer centrally controlled, and as has been pointed out in the wake of Brexit, the age of the expert may be passing. Now everybody has the power to create and share content. Michael Gove, a leading proponent of Brexit, proclaimed, "I think the people of this country have had enough of experts." It would seem that he, in many ways, meant it. It is also clear that we are seeing increased polarization in society as we continue to drift away from agreed singular narratives and move into camps around shared interests. Recent Pew research suggests, for example, that 80% of voters who backed Hillary Clinton in 2016 U.S. presidential election and 81% of Trump voters believe the two sides are unable to agree on basic facts. Despite early claims from as far back as H.G. Wells' World Brain essays in 1936 that a worldwide shared resource of knowledge, such as the internet, would create peace, harmony, and a common interpretation of reality, it appears that quite the opposite has happened. With the increased voice afforded by social media, knowledge has been increasingly decentralized and competing narratives have emerged. Of course, you gave the crazy people a place to scream.
And you're
legitimizing
them, and you're legitimizing them as much as NASA. Like, fuck you. Are you kidding me?
It's like if you listen to somebody scream loud enough, you're eventually going to hear them, whether you want to or not.
But please, crazies, never stop posting on the internet. My one show kind of depends on it.
Well, yeah, just for Ren's sake, keep posting. This was something of a reoccurring theme throughout the weekend and was especially apparent when 4 flat earthers debated 3 physics PhD students. A particular point in contention occurred when one of the physicists pleaded with the audience to avoid trusting YouTube and bloggers. The audience and the panel of flat earthers took exception to this, noting that now we've got the internet and mass communication, we're not reliant on what the mainstream are telling us in newspapers. We can decide for ourselves. It was readily apparent that the flat earthers were keen to separate knowledge from scientific institutions, where a lot of the tested knowledge comes from. At the same time as scientific claims to knowledge and power are being undermined, some power structures are decoupling themselves from scientific knowledge, moving towards a kind of populist politics that are increasingly skeptical of knowledge. In other words, stupid people. This has, in recent years, manifested itself in extreme ways, through such things as public politicians showing support for Pizzagate. I have no idea what that is. Or Trump's.
Would you like an explanation of Pizzagate?
Please do, because that alone sounds interesting. Because I'm
Pizzagate
picturing
was a conspiracy theory about a New York pizza shop that was the base of operations for a pedophile ring, for like all the fucking higher ups and shit of the government and shit.
Oh, because I was figuring that it was something that someone ate the last slice of pizza and somebody else was really pissed.
No, this local pizza shop got buried under like accusations that it was fucking a pedophile ring. It was fucking insane. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and apparently like requesting certain types of pizza was like code for ordering children.
Yeah.
Wow. Public politicians showing support for Pizzagate, or Trump's suggestions that Ted Cruz's father shot JFK. But this can also be seen in more subtle and insidious form in the way in which Brexit, for example, was campaigned for in terms of gut feelings and emotions rather than expert statistics and predictions. Science is increasingly facing problems with its ability to communicate ideas publicly, a problem that politicians and flat earthers are able to circumvent in moves towards populism. Again, this theme occurred throughout the weekend. Flat earthers were encouraged to trust poetry, freedom, passion, vividness, creativity, and yearning over the more clinical regurgitation of established theories and facts. Attendees were told that hope changes everything and warned against blindly trusting what they were told. This is a narrative echoed by some celebrities who have used their power to back flat earth beliefs, such as the musician B.O.B., who tweeted, "Don't believe what I say, research what I say." In many ways, a public meeting of flat earthers is a product and sign of our time, a reflection of our increasing distrust in scientific institutions and the moves by power-holding institutions towards populism and emotions. In much the same way that Foucault reflected on what social outcasts could reveal about our social systems, there's a lot of flat earthers can reveal to us about the current changing relationship between power and knowledge. And judging by the success of this UK event and the large conventions planned in Canada and America this year, it seems the flat earth is going to be around for a while yet.
Wonderful.
Brockus, do you have an opinion?
I think he's hitting his head on something.
I'm trying not to kill myself with stupid.
Okay.
First
The
of all,
flat
I
earth
had a problem
really
with the
is.
fact that this writer didn't want to actually insult the flat earthers, and I'm thinking to myself, bullshit. Everyone wants to make fun of the flat earthers because they're retarded. There are mentally challenged people in this fucking goddamn world that hear these flat earthers spout off their bullshit, and their immediate thought is, aside from "I want a donut," is this person's fucking retarded.
I love making fun of flat earthers. Though there are people who take flat earth theory to the next level, like Hollow Sun.
What?
The
Oh.
Hollow Sun.
Hollow Sun theory is that the sun is actually a vacuum, like the outside, and then there's a vacuum, and then there's another Earth inside the sun, and so the sun's really a giant egg for growing another Earth.
Uh-huh.
That's... What?
What?
I know.
I made it a point to try to drive a name crazy, so I try to find the best and worst scientific theories I can on YouTube.
And the moon is a hologram.
Oh yeah, I've heard that before too. The moon is a hologram.
And has been for thousands of years.
There we go! Got Brockus grow!
We did it!
Thousands of years! How?
Yes!
How did you do it for 1,000 years when we haven't even had holographic tech for 100 years?
Hey, I can explain it in one word, Brockus. Aliens. Yes, I just added that onto the pile.
Dumb fuck
I just added that onto the fucking pile.
Why don't you take your fucking alien theories and go hang out with the Scientologists, you retards?
We've
Wow.
cracked his brain.
To be fair, it's not that hard.
Really not.
If the moon was made of barbecue spare ribs, I'd eat the shit out of that.
There's also a theory that the moon is secretly a space base.
Done. I mean, that actually does sound pretty cool, but no, there's no such thing.
There's the giant egg theory. That the moon is an egg. And Metaphors in the chat says that Brockus goes full Fred Flintstone.
Oh, and don't forget the flat Earth theory that there's actually a wall, and then there's land, and then there's another wall. and that the NASA doesn't want you to know about the people who are behind the first ice wall.
This is not the Truman Show. You guys are retarded.
Trippy, is that true? Is that a theory? He says the paintings from 1,000 years ago were edited to show a moon.
No,
An actual
actually.
conspiracy theory.
No, see, I kind of know a little bit about this. Supposedly that there were a bunch of paintings from thousands of years ago where famous painters painted the night sky, but never did they actually have the moon in the night sky. Sometime later, however, they edited it to have a moon there because they had forgotten to actually add a moon or some crazy, stupid shit like that. No, you fucking retards. Every artist has their own version of how things should be. I'm pretty sure the Scream, which is that very famous painting of that warped person in a warped world, basically doing the fucking Kevin from Home Alone way before Kevin from Home Alone ever was conceived and shit. I'm pretty sure that's not reality. That's just the artist's interpretation of that emotion. Panic and terror or horror, whatever the hell the actual emotion is supposed to be. But the world doesn't look like that. So whenever you saw a painting from thousands of years ago and there was a lack of moon, but it was supposed to be the night sky, well, maybe the motherfucker wasn't looking at the moon when he painted the goddamn night sky. Or maybe the motherfucker was high and forgot about the moon. Did you ever think of that?
What if it was the night of a new moon?
Maybe he was looking in the other direction.
What if it's the night of a new moon and there was just no moon in the sky that night?
There's also that, yes.
Well, also, like in art, like if you're painting a night sky and you add a moon, that automatically becomes the focal point of the painting.
Yeah.
Like automatically. And if you don't want that, then you don't fucking add a moon. Like, and it's a painting, motherfucker. It's not a photo.
I will say this much. As much as I adore ripping on certain other groups of people that are actually, you know, religious zealots and stupid, crazy shit like that, whatever the case is and stuff. I will say this much. For people who probably hear a bunch of hippies and people that believe in pagan religions and stuff like that, for those of you who actually sit there and think these people are crazy because they legitimately worship, you know, actual deities and gods throughout the ancient worlds and such, like Odin and Thor from the Norse mythologies, or Athena and Hera from Greek mythologies, or even Quetzalcoatl from fucking Aztec mythologies and shit like that. Even though
pronouncing that correctly.
Oh, I study mythology, so I kind of try to say them as accurately as possible. But despite all of that, they make more sense than the flat earthers ever will. Because every time the flat earthers trying to bring in some kind of bullshit ass science, I would rather listen to the pagan explain to me why this love potion is extremely potent and don't inhale it because you're going to fall in love with the first person next to you and stuff. Granted, I'm actually making a joke about the concept and everything like that. But for anyone who's ever heard a pagan explaining things in their shops about candles and incense and how it works and stuff like that, you can go ahead and actually say, oh, these people are crazy, but I'm in there for a good laugh because they're just crazy and stuff like that. Flat earthers are mind-numbingly, enragingly fucking retarded, and they make the people in those shops that are probably just a couple of bulls too high seem like fucking geniuses. Because I've met a few people that have legitimately gone into those shops to listen to the people behind the counter, and they've mocked them and stuff. I don't like to mock them because I like these people. They're very nice, chill people. They don't want to harm anyone. They actually, and dude, if you've never just sat in a room and relaxed with great fucking incense, dude, you're missing out. Incense smells fucking great. It makes your house smell great. It's not like cigarette where it could leave a stain, but hey, it's not going to be as bad as, like, you know, smoking fucking one cigarette after another and shit like that.
It won't leave a stain if you move it around. I mean, you can move the fucking tray, you know, the incense burner around.
Oh, yeah, you can find some very, very pretty incense burners in those shops. Mm-hmm. I have found some gorgeous incense burners where it's like, admittedly, I was Wiccan in high school to piss off my Catholic mother because she didn't know, because funny. But I would see some gorgeous incense burners. I'd stare at going, it's so pretty. I just want like a wall of them to decorate because they look so gorgeous.
I love the bitching witch's comment here. Brockus, my religion requires me to dance naked beneath the full moon, and it makes more sense than flat earthers and Scientology. That does. I don't know why it requires you to dance naked under a full moon, but
you
I'm converting.
No, I nobody can convert me away from the blue whale. I hail the blue whale for life now. That's I'm never going to turn
Can't
away
we
from
just incorporate that in to the blue whale?
I'm going to talk to AP and Ghastly. I am pretty sure neither of them have a problem with attractive women or women in general just wanting to dance naked under the moon. I am pretty sure Al-Hud Al-Azim himself would actually say, like, no, it's not a requirement, but if you feel like it, by all means, enjoy.
Right, especially a blue moon. Holy crap! Can you?
blue moon.
Especially if it's a
spiritual
moon, yes.
power.
A blue moon, and it has to end with an orgy.
Oh yeah, no, that's right. That's right up fucking Double A's alley right there. I do not speak for the whale. That is not my job. I am not the prophet. I will not try to interpret his ways. But I'm pretty sure that A double is completely fine with the idea of an orgy on a full moon. Anyways, let's move away from the fucking crazies. Let's move away from the fucking flat earthers. Rob, give us another Florida man-esque story.
Okay, well, we can move away from the flat earthers, but we can't move away from the crazies.
Oh no,
not according to Florida's news blog. Let's see. Man asked troopers if he can flee scene of accident to get more meth.
Okay.
Florida man.
At least he's honest.
Yeah, I just want to take a pause and appreciate this man for his honesty.
Yeah.
It's good on you, sir.
Dear officer, can I just
Plus
sleep
balls of
real
steel.
quick? I need some meth. I'll come back, but I just need to go get some meth.
I mean, if I was that trooper, I'd probably just be like, you know what, dude?
Go for it.
I'm gonna let you get a little bit. I'm not gonna let you out of my sight, but if you can get a little bit of meth, kudos to you.
The cop should have been like, call your guy, get it delivered.
Can you have it delivered? I mean, don't let him know I'm cool with this. I'm not gonna.
It's like we're fine. We're fine with it. Just tell him to show up. And
I will arrest him later, but right now we're good.
Tell him to take a ride on Oak, and when he's find the guy pulled over by 5 cop cars, he's found the spot. Florida man who was involved in a car accident Sunday was arrested after he allegedly asked troopers if he could leave the scene to go get more meth. The Orlando Sentinel reports Scott Eklund, 32, crashed into another vehicle Sunday afternoon. When police responded to the accident and searched Eklund's vehicle, they recovered meth and a small scale. Mr. Eklund was making no sense during our conversation. Florida Highway Patrol Trooper Gladson Curado wrote in the police report. He was asking me to let him run away, that he could get me much more illegal substances than I had found with him today. It's like, I'll go get more meth and be right back and give it to you.
He wasn't making any sense. The dude had meth. What part of that was going to be an intellectual conversation?
I think he was like, if you let me go, and I can go get you a ton more meth. Like, if that's what you're looking for, I'll be right back with a ton more.
Well, officer, clearly you have caught me with all this stuff. If you let me go, I can get you the guy who sold it to me. And also I can get more meth for myself. All right, no, that's fine.
I can get enough to share with everybody.
I will bring enough for the whole class.
Exactly.
He's going to share.
He learned in kindergarten very well. You have to share your toys.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Eklund was arrested and charged with methamphetamine possession, driving with a suspended license. He's being held in the Orange County Jail. And it was a short article, but pretty goddamn funny.
Well, okay, see, here's the funny part. That took
Which
place
part
in
was
California.
not the funny part.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. Like,
Which part of this article wasn't actually hilarious? 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure all of it was.
Yeah, this was in Orange County in California. Yet it is still a Florida man.
Was it a Florida man who happened to be in California?
Yes.
I'm going to say that's a good possibility.
Yes.
Oh, it was. Oh.
The article starts off with a Florida man.
So a man from Florida has infested himself into California, and then he did his stupid shit there.
Yep. Sounds about right.
We can work with this.
Does that mean you can take the man out of Florida, but you can never take the Florida out of the man?
Exactly.
Once you've gone to Florida and lived there, you're infested forever. You're just infected. Just surrender.
Mark's already done a few months in Florida.
I don't want to know what you mean by done a few months in Florida.
I don't either.
It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I did a nickel over in Florida. Wait, you went to prison? No, I was just in Florida. Oh.
I spent 5 years there. Now I'm contaminated for life.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can smell the Florida man on you.
All right, so do we have any more articles, or should we just shut this down?
Not unless you want to hear about sad scientists. But it's almost 10:30.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm hungry. I'm a grown boy. I need my buttered noodles.
Buttered noodles?
Hey, don't knock that shit. That shit is
Don't like
delicious.
buttered
Buttered
noodles?
noodles is amazing. Yes, I love buttered noodles, bro.
No, I'm asking Ishtar. Have you ever had buttered noodles, Ishtar?
don't.
Like proper buttered noodles?
I don't think I have. It doesn't honestly sound appealing.
They're delicious.
Have you never lived the poor life?
Yes, I lived on turkey sandwiches pretty much entirely for my college year.
You can afford turkey
You could get meat?
on your poor life?
You guys are assuming that it was real turkey. It was actually that ground up turkey looking stuff that you can get in packs.
You could afford that?
It's
Apparently, I was a little more affluent than you guys were.
I'm just fucking with you.
Peanut butter and jelly for
I-
4 weeks straight.
I actually like putting turkey in my buttered noodles. Turkey or ham in them. It's very good.
Yeah, I used to consistently take bits of turkey or ham meat from my lunch meat, like packages and shit like that, and throw that in, like, I don't know, my ramen or mac and cheese, whatever the fuck I was actually eating.
Yeah, ramen was a staple in the house too. Still is.
I learned just to put ketchup on off-brand mac and cheese to make it taste better.
Ew.
Trippy saying,
Yeah, I think you're doing it wrong.
It's 1:30 where
never had-
Trippy is, and he wants it to go on for 4 more hours. No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, pass.
I have to work in the morning.
I have children who like breakfast and stuff like that. They're weird.
Yeah, I get, fucking, that's strange. Kids want to actually eat every day. That's an odd thing.
So demanding, little monsters.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and shut this down then. It's been a strange 2.5 hours roughly, with a little bit of a break in between, just because, technical complications and fucking annoyances. We had vagina nails. We had vagina necklaces. We had too much flat earthers. Too much flat earthers. We had,
Careful, unknown archives in the shower is going to start fapping.
oh god. We had we had a couple of Florida man stories and one Southern Californian story, which we're going to go ahead and say is quite possibly still a Florida man.
It was a Florida man who happened to be in California.
He was visiting.
There
His
was a
messenger.
disappointed scientist, but we didn't care about the disappointed scientist enough. And of course, my personal favorite, we had stupid fucking feminism. Just goddamn fucking feminism.
Motherfucking ruining everything.
No, they pissed me off to no end because, like, again, I can't really necessarily
they're ruining
say
everything.
wrong in everything that they say, because they do have at some point a valid point to make. They just take that valid point, put it on a fucking unicorn and rocket that bitch into Nowheresville. And I'm like, what the hell happened?
Feminists
It's
in
just-
Iran have a valid point. Feminists bitching about air conditioning and men spreading their legs do not have a valid point.
Yeah, they also have a scimitar next to their throats, but you know, that's just because they're about to get their heads lopped off. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and shut this down. Of course, this was CNN. With me was Ishtar, Ren, and Rob. Take it easy, cunts.
Yo.
Later.
Bye.
Adios.